everybody, it's Miss Karen here. Today we are going to bake an apple cinnamon round challah for Rosh Hashana. So let's get started. First thing we're going to do is we need 2 1/4 teaspoons yeast, which is 1 packet. So we're going to put this into our bowl. And we are then going to add 1 cup of warm water to it and 1 teaspoon, I've already pre-measured the 1 cup of warm water, and 1 teaspoon of sugar. So there's our yeast and there's our warm water, and we're going to get 1 teaspoon sugar to add as well. And then we're going to let this sit so the yeast can proof for about 5 to 10 minutes. So we'll be right back. As you can see, the yeast is activating right before your very eyes. Isn't that cool? This is what it will look like once it's ready. Now that our yeast is ready, we're going to add the rest of our ingredients. Today I'm making this in my mixer, but you could also make it in a regular bowl and knead it by hand. The mixer, however, is a lot easier. So we are going to put 4 1/4 cups flour into the mixer. I use just regular old all-purpose flour, but you can use bread flour. It makes it a little bit better, but nobody in my house seems to care, so I use whatever's easiest to find. So there's 1. Here's 2. I think I got all over me. 3. 4, and we'll do 1/4 of a cup. I took the wrong one out, so I'm going to grab the 1/4 of a cup real quick. All right, and the 1/4 of a cup. So there's our flour. Now we're going to add our 2 eggs, which I've already cracked and beaten a little bit in this bowl. Our honey, which is 1/3 of a cup honey. Honey makes it nice and sweet, so we can all have a sweet new year. All right, that honey is nice and sticky. What's next? Our oil, so also 1/3 of a cup oil. And then our salt. And the recipe calls for 1 1/4 teaspoon salt, but I just use 1 teaspoon salt because I tend to use less salt than required. So there we go. Now we're going to give this a quick stir, and then we're going to put it in our mixer to really mix it up. I'm putting it in the mixer with the dough attachment because that tends to work best for this. You can also just continue to mix it with a spoon and then knead it by hand. But as you will see, the mixer makes it much, much easier. So let's give it a whirl. While you're kneading it, you might need to add a little bit of flour in case it's really, really sticky. Mine still actually seems to be pretty sticky, so I'm going to add a little bit more flour here. Let it knead for another minute or so, and then I'm going to transfer it to an oiled bowl. I'm going to cover it in plastic wrap, and we're going to let it sit for 2 hours and rise. So we'll be back soon. So the dough has doubled in size, so we're going to just punch it down real lightly, and then we're going to cover it again and put it in the fridge for 1 hour before we come back and roll it out. So here we go. Now that it has doubled in size and it's been refrigerated for an hour, this is what the dough should look like, roughly. We're gonna dump it out onto, I have a silpat here with a piece of parchment paper on top of it and some flour, and we're gonna dump the dough out, and then we're going to roll it. I have a rolling pin here. We're gonna roll it out into about a 16 by 20 inch square, which is kind of a rectangle, not a square, but we'll see how it goes. So we might need a little more flour to do this. We'll put a little flour on the dough itself just to make sure it doesn't stick to my rolling pin. If you saw before, if you don't pay attention when you're using the flour, it can get everywhere, which makes my daughters laugh, but you know. And then after we're done rolling this out, we're gonna come back in and do the filling. And I think I'm gonna have a special guest helper. Okay, we're back, and my favorite 7th grader with her 7th grade Nutella, Jordan, is here with me now because she decided that we cannot just do an apple cinnamon challah, we have to do half apple cinnamon and half Nutella. So she's gonna do half of it while I do the other half. Totally confused yet? Just watch. Okay, so on my half, I'm gonna do apple cinnamon. So I'm gonna take, I have 1 Granny Smith apple here that I cut up and I put into slices, which I missed a little bit out there, so we're just gonna cut that right off. We're gonna line it up just right across the dough, as you see. Simply easy, doesn't make a big deal. And I'm gonna go right to the middle because then Jordan is going to do this half with Nutella, but you're gonna use the knife because I asked you to put the Nutella in the bowl, remember?
No.
So while she works on that, on my half, I'm going to sprinkle not quite a tablespoon of sugar over the apples. Doesn't really have to be fancy, whatever works. And I'm also gonna sprinkle some cinnamon. Now on Jordan's half, she's gonna start spreading her Nutella, maybe. Okay. So Jordan's making a little bit of a mess, which is all good because when you cook with kids, it happens. This is why we have a sink. Okay, spread your Nutella just right there. This is going to be half apples and cinnamon, half Nutella. I'm not sure they go well together, although if you've ever been in my class, you know I say chocolate goes with everything, but maybe not with apples and cinnamon. So Jordan is spreading her Nutella nicely. Look at how gorgeous that is. It just looks like chocolate. Keep it going, Jordan. All the way, no, all the way to the end, down there. Perfect, keep up. You can never have too much Nutella, or maybe you can, I'm not really sure. It's all good. We like to make our challah special in this house. And you'll see our neat trick in just a second. All right, you ready? Should we show them the neat trick?
No.
It's not that, no, Jordan doesn't want to. Apparently you guys don't get to watch the trick, so sorry. Oh, she wants to put more Nutella. You're gonna put more Nutella on. This is just the first layer. Jordan's actually never made this before. So you're gonna take your 2 hands right here. At the same time that I put my 2 hands right here, we're going to flip this over, okay? Are you ready? Hopefully this works. It might not work. Here we go, ready? 1, 2, 3. Oh, the parchment paper actually really helped with that, so that was good. Now we're gonna make a second layer. So I'm gonna do mine right in front. I forgot to cut these apples. So I'm gonna cut my apples up into some slices while Jordan does her Nutella. And I can tell where to start because I can see my last apple. So I'm gonna just work my way back. Putting my apples down. Jordan's gonna put Nutella on the other side, just like she did on that first side. It's gonna be grand. Everybody's gonna be so happy. It's gonna be sweet for our sweet new year. There we go, there's some apples. I'm gonna sprinkle some sugar over these because you can never have too much sugar in your life. And then we're gonna do some cinnamon because that's how you make it apple cinnamon. You need both. The cinnamon doesn't want to come out. It's being a little finicky. Okay, there we go. Jordan's got some Nutella going on. She's gonna put a little bit more maybe. Got more Nutella, or do you want that to be good for that layer?
It's good for a layer.
Okay, she said that's good for that layer, so we're gonna flip it again. You ready? This is the hardest part. All right, we're gonna do one more layer. It's fine, no big deal. We're gonna do one more layer of apples and of Nutella, and then we're gonna show you it when we're done with this. We'll be right back. Okay, now you should have one giant log of challah that should have 3 levels of apples in it or 3 levels of Nutella. And you're gonna take a knife and just cut it. So I'm gonna cut the end off, and then I'm going to cut slices, about 10 slices. It's a little sticky, but we're gonna make it work. So we're gonna stop at the apple slice half because we don't really want to mix the apple and the Nutella together. So that is the last slice of apples. Now we're going to pick up each slice. Whoa, that's really sticky. And we're going to put it into our bundt pan, which I have already sprayed with cooking spray. And we're going to put them all around. Apples face up. So a little stickier than I was expecting, but it's fine, we'll make it work. We're gonna do 1/2 with the apple sliced challah and 1/2 with the Nutella sliced challah. And after I get all of these in, which I'm just gonna do about this many for right now, we're going to put a slice of apple in between each one for a little more appleness. Yes, I made up a word, appleness. Try it out, see if anybody believes you. And then we're gonna let this sit for a little bit. We're going to give it a little egg wash, just egg, a little bit of water, brush it on top. On the apple side, we're going to sprinkle some more cinnamon sugar, and then we're gonna bake it, and we will show you the finished product soon. Okay, so the challah is done. It is baked. Can you see it? And we're just gonna take it out and flip it over, and hopefully it will come right out. You can see the Nutella side and the apple cinnamon side. Perfection.